We live in a time where there is no more silence, not even within ourselves. Our thoughts are invaded by notifications, alerts, sounds, and images that fight for our attention every second. The mind, overloaded, becomes a battlefield where peace feels more and more like a distant luxury. And in this chaos, an idea arises that is almost revolutionary in its simplicity: mental minimalism. Mental minimalism is not about running away from the world or isolating yourself on a distant mountain. It is, above all, a choice. A conscious decision to filter what comes in, what stays, what deserves space, and what needs to be left behind. The Stoic philosopher Seneca, 2,000 years ago, already warned us about this. In his letter to Lucilius, he writes, "Life is long enough, and a life well lived is long enough to accomplish great things, if all of it is well invested." But what do we do with our time today? We bury it under infinite feeds, under short videos and empty impulses. The mind, which could be a temple of contemplation and clarity, is reduced to a restless algorithm endlessly scrolling a screen. Modernity has brought us technological miracles, true but also invisible traps. The promise of connection has become addiction. The abundance of information has become distraction. French philosopher Blaise Pascal once said, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." And today, more than ever, that phrase echoes deeply in the inner walls of our consciousness. At every moment, we are bombarded by content, news, messages. With each click, more stimuli. With each notification, more anxiety. The human mind, limited in its processing capacity, desperately tries to keep up with a pace it was not built for. And so, we lose what is essential. We lose presence. We lose clarity. Mental minimalism in this context emerges as a form of resistance, a silent refusal to be carried away by the constant noise of the world. It is a return to essence, to focus, to what truly matters. It is saying no to 99% so we can say yes to what truly has value. But where do we begin? We begin with recognition, recognizing that we are addicted, that we use our phones not out of necessity, but out of habit, out of fear of silence, out of escape. How many times do we open an app without even knowing why? How many times do we interrupt a deep thought just to check another irrelevant notification? Socrates, as he walked through the markets of Athens, used to say, "How many things there are which I do not need." Imagine what he would say if he looked at a smartphone screen today. The modern world sells us the idea that we need everything, that we must stay updated on everything, that the mind should always be busy. But that is not wisdom. That is confusion. Wisdom requires space, and space requires choice. It requires courage to eliminate. Start small. Silence notifications. Set aside moments for digital absence. Learn to live with emptiness. Because emptiness is not absence. It is space for the essential to flourish. By reducing noise, we listen to what has been whispering within us for a long time. Psychologist Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." And to look inside, silence is needed. Slowing down is needed. Reducing the excess of stimuli that dulls our internal perception is needed. We live in the age of fragmented attention. Everything is fast, everything is immediate, but the mind does not work like that. It needs time to assimilate, to reflect, to integrate. When overloaded, it defends itself with anxiety, insomnia, irritation, and apathy. We are surrounded by stimuli, yet increasingly empty of meaning. At heart, it's not that we don't have time, it's that we waste time on things that do not nourish the soul. And this has a cost, a high cost. The cost of a life half-lived. Mental minimalism is choosing what to think. It is the courage to let go. It is understanding that many times, fewer thoughts mean more clarity, more direction, more truth. Philosopher Schopenhauer said, "Clarity is the courtesy of the philosopher." Perhaps today we can say, clarity is an act of mental survival. By clearing the mind, we lose nothing. We gain vision, we gain presence, gain autonomy over our attention. Look around you. How many visual, auditory, and digital stimuli are competing for your focus at this exact moment? How many times has your thought been interrupted since you started listening to this text? How many inner conversations have you abandoned because something vibrated, flashed, or rang on your phone? The mind, like a garden, blooms with care and attention. But if we do not tend to it, it will be overrun by weeds. The excess of information, compulsive content consumption, and the fear of being outdated are the new weeds of the 21st century. Mental minimalism proposes conscious gardening, cutting the unnecessary, nourishing the essential, cultivating deep thinking, rescuing the ability to contemplate. Thoreau, when he withdrew to live in a cabin by Walden Pond, wrote, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not when I came to die discover that I had not lived." And today, what have we been living? Rather, have we really been living, or just existing? The difference between existing and living lies in attention. It lies in focus. It lies in the quality of thought. And for that, we need space. We need silence. We need less. But less is not absence. Less is depth. Yes. Less is presence. Less is freedom. Start with simple questions. What is occupying space in my mind without deserving to be there? Which thoughts are mine and which were planted by other voices, other screens, other fears? Start with practical actions. Set times for phone use. Create parts of your day where you consume no information at all. Write your thoughts instead of compulsively sharing them on social media. Meditate even for 2 minutes. Walk without headphones. Breathe. Mental minimalism is a return to the essential. The essential is not found in notifications. It is found in the silence between one breath and another. It lives in the space between one thought and another. It reveals itself when the mind stops running and starts observing. Nietzsche, in his book Thus Spoke Zarathustra, wrote, "What good is wisdom if it does not make life lighter?" And perhaps that is the point. Mental minimalism is not a renunciation of the world. It is a reconciliation with the lightness of being present in it, with clarity, with discernment, with freedom. Disconnecting is not losing, it is rediscovering. Rediscovering yourself, rediscovering time, rediscovering silence. In a world that screams for attention, the greatest act of freedom is choosing what to listen to. And sometimes, the wisest choice is to listen to silence. Mental minimalism is the way back. Back inward, to what matters. Back to clarity, to essence, to what makes life truly worthwhile. Maybe in the end, this is the question we should carry with us. Of all that fills my mind, what truly makes me more alive? If you enjoyed this reflection, wait until you discover what happens when we choose to live an entire day without a phone, facing total silence and reconnecting with our own mind.